Welcome to Cloudify Podcast, brought to you by Cloud Advisory. On this podcast, we talk about ways to grow, innovate, and automate your business using the Salesforce Customer Experience Platform. Without further ado, here is the next episode of Cloudify.
Welcome to episode 7 of the Cloudify podcast, brought to you by Cloud Advisory, a registered Salesforce partner. In this podcast, we talk about ways to grow, innovate, and automate your business using the Salesforce Customer Experience Platform. And in this episode, we'll be talking about Pardot. Pardot being one of the two marketing automation offerings that are under the Marketing Cloud, Marketing Cloud being one of them, the other one being Pardot. And both of these were part of an acquisition made by Salesforce a number of years ago, quite an expensive acquisition actually. I think it was over $1 billion. We can check on the numbers on that. But ExactTarget was that acquisition. And since then, the two products that were under the ExactTarget banner were ExactTarget and Pardot. And Pardot was originally a separate company acquired by ExactTarget and then was part of the acquisition by Salesforce. And these have become the core products that Salesforce has gone to market with to attract marketers as part of the Salesforce platform. So what we're going to talk about today are what are the features of Pardot and what can you do with it, as well as how it's priced out and how the different versions of the product look. In addition to that, we'll take a little bit of a tour of Pardot. There's a really good online interactive tour that we've walked through, and we'll kind of walk you through that as part of the podcast. So email marketing is always a component typically of not just a Salesforce, but any marketing automation platform. So if you look at the competitors in this space like HubSpot or Marketo, or even small business products like MailChimp, typically, marketing automation revolves around email marketing. In the case of Pardot, you have a couple of key features that we'll take a look at. One is campaign creation. So you create a campaign to basically add context to that campaign and then create automated emails, landing pages, and then basically tracking. So in the case of most marketing automation, you'll start off with the creation of that campaign and what your goals for that campaign are. In Pardot, you also have the ability to create landing pages and forms, so online landing pages, websites where you can direct traffic to, and forms where you can get opt-in. There's a WYSIWYG, like what you see is what you get, email template builders, so you can create emails that you can then automate into drip campaigns for nurturing. So you may have a list that you upload to a campaign of contacts, or you may pull that from Salesforce, and then you would create a landing page where you want to direct any of the visitors or people that click on the emails you send out, build your email, and then basically get opt-in on those landing pages and forms, and then drip campaigns for nurturing, so that if you have the people that opt in, you can continue to send them messages in an automated format. Part of this is also sending autoresponders. And autoresponders, you can attach collateral attachments, so PDFs or other digital documents. Within Pardot, you also have the ability to create lead assignment rules. So when you do get opt-ins, those are usually registered as leads in Salesforce. So you'll want to have a way to create assignment rules. And in Salesforce, you can create lead assignment rules. However, Pardot has kind of more wizard-driven steps that might be a little bit easier for a marketer to create lead assignment rules. Another major feature of the Pardot platform is lead scoring and automation. So you can assign values to the quality of a lead and then decide based upon the scores of a lead when people take certain actions or engage in certain behaviors or consume certain content, what happens. That's where the automation comes in. And then closed loop reporting, essentially the ability to report on specific behaviors and actions, as well as what's going on inside of a campaign and the success of the campaign. So there's 3 versions of Pardot. between $1,000 to $3,000 a month. So the standard, pro, and the ultimate version. What's the difference between these versions? So in the standard version of Pardot, you have kind of the core functionality of email marketing, in-depth prospect tracking, so you can basically track all the behaviors and actions of a given prospect, or that turns into a lead. Lead nurturing, so you have the ability to create automation or automated emails to follow up on maybe people that opt in, prospects that opt in but don't immediately become a lead or become an account or a client. Lead scoring and grading, ROI reporting, so you can set goals, the cost of the campaign, and then based upon conversions, track the return on investment. Forms and landing pages, this is a big one. Not all marketing automation platforms have form and landing page creation features. Sometimes you have to buy a secondary platform to create landing pages and forms. And why would you want to do that? Well, usually you're not going to want to always direct traffic, especially if you're doing any sort of cold emailing to your normal website. So you want to create a sandbox where people are going to a landing page and you want to direct them to take certain specific actions. So landing pages are usually really important. Forms are really important, obviously, to collect data from anyone that's opting in. And then standard CRM integration. So there's probably some different levels of data that passes back and forth between the marketing automation platform of Pardot and the Salesforce Sales Cloud CRM. So that's the standard version. Pro version, in addition to all the features, the core features that we just went through, advanced email analytics, email rendering, preview, and spam analysis. So you can get an idea of, is the message that I'm sending out, especially if it's cold email, is it going to be rejected by firewalls and spam filters? Email and landing page A/B testing. So it's strange that they don't offer A/B testing. It looks like you can create individual landing pages, but then you can't compare to landing pages. So I guess you have to pay into the pro version to get A/B testing on your landing pages and emails. So if you create an alternate email or an alternate landing page, and you want to see which one's more effective, you would have to be, it looks like, a pro customer. Advanced dynamic content, so I guess there's different capabilities as far as when you have autoresponders being sent out, or you have maybe customized content that you want to send when people that you're prospecting to take certain actions, clicks, landing pages, request information. So it looks like you have the capability in the pro version to create more tailored content streams, if you will, or kind of a buyer journey. Google AdWords integration, so that's really important if you're doing any sort of paid media that you want to get opt into your landing pages that then would trigger a nurturing campaign. So you would have to be a pro customer for that. API access, so if you want to capture or send any data to your campaigns through the API, that's really important. Up to 25,000 calls a day. Integrated marketing calendar, so that's actually pretty helpful if you're a marketer, where you can create a calendar of your campaigns. Social profiles, so this is really where you can incorporate your online social properties into your campaigns. And then chat support is where you get support from the Pardot team by instant messaging. So I guess you don't get that as a standard client. And what's the difference between those two versions of the ultimate? So it's everything in the standard and pro version, or essentially everything in the pro version, plus custom user roles. So that would be the administration of Pardot. So you can assign different roles within your marketing organization. Custom object integration. So that's interesting. So if you had custom objects in your Salesforce Sales Cloud, it looks like the only way to integrate those into your Pardot campaigns is through the ultimate version. So that's interesting. And then API access, they bump it up to 100,000 calls a day. Dedicated IP address, so I guess that's important as far as outgoing email. Phone support, so actually you get to talk to a human being if you're an ultimate client. So those are really, I guess, the differences between the three versions of Pardot. So what I did was I took the interactive tour, You can see here how the interactive tour, I highly recommend it, but this way you can kind of take a quick look at it. First off is you would create a campaign. So basically you want to determine your first touch with a prospect. So you would name the campaign, determine which folder it's going to be in. One thing you notice here is the difference between standard Salesforce user interface and the Pardot user interface. It's very streamlined, and it's very clear what you want to do on any screen. So that's a big improvement over the standard Salesforce interface. You set the cost of the campaign, so what you're going to invest in the campaign. So that's kind of the first major functionality. Now they take us through how to build a form and a landing page. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to name the form, and then here's where we're going to set the fields for the form. You can see, in this case I got first name, last name. Just stop here for 1 sec. So you can see I can move any of the fields around. It's a WYSIWYG interface, so I don't need to know any programming to build the forms, which is really great. I can add new fields here. You can see here I can edit a field and I can trash a field. Okay, completion actions. So I'm just going to stop it here for a sec. Completion actions, basically actions that will automatically trigger when someone submits one of your forms. So for example, you might want an email with a PDF download. So someone submits a form, they're basically opting into your campaign, and then you can auto-respond. You could create a completion action. It's like, hey, when someone opts in, send them an email with this particular collateral attached. So you can see how this works. So there's a blank drop down. I can choose different common actions. For example, I want to, when they fill in the form, I want to, in this case, let's see, what am I choosing? Add them to a list. And then I want to send an autoresponder email, and I can choose which email template. So that's an example of how that would work. All right, landing page WYSIWYG builder. So again, you don't have to know any code to build some pretty attractive landing pages. So you can see in this case, they give us a template to work with, and then I can edit the headline, I can edit the images, I can edit the content on this page. That's done. Now I've created a landing page, so terrific. I now have created my campaign, I've created an opt-in form, I've created a landing page where the opt-in form can sit. Now I want to build an email, so I want to send out an email to people. I can pick a template and essentially build a pretty attractive email, again, without knowing any HTML programming. So that's a really big deal. So any marketer, even if they don't have those technical skills, they can use the what you see is what you get email builder to build their email template. So the first thing you do is you're going to choose a template. I'm going to choose the first one, apply that, and you can see I've got some rather attractive images. I can edit those images. I can edit the text inside of what will be my automated email campaign out to my contacts in the campaign. Yeah. So when I'm done editing the content, I just save it. Great start. It is a great start. So this is actually a great tour. I really highly recommend it. You don't have to schedule a live demo to take this tour. It's basically automated. A/B testing. So again, this is an advanced feature that's only in the most expensive version of Pardot, but you can select A/B versions of your email the same way you can actually send, I think, A/B versions of your landing pages. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to select a list for my campaign. I'm going to send it to the Sales and Marketing New York list. That's terrific. Who's going to be sending the email in both the A and the B campaigns? You can determine that. All right. So then what you want to do is you want to look at a prospect file. So again, this is very different from the standard account interface. Probably a little more concise and maybe a little more readable. So I actually like this UI very much. So I can go in and I can see all the activities that a particular prospect that is under a campaign. I don't know if I have to be under a campaign, but I want to see the prospect file anyway, and I can see an overview. Hey, look at all the pages they visited and how long they were on the page. I can also see any other actions they have in Pardot. Lead nurturing campaigns. So the idea of here being once they've opted in, I want to create a series of sequenced timed emails that follow up and keep those those prospects engaged, even though they haven't taken maybe a particular action that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bunch of automated emails. I'm going to set the timings and the actions around those. Take a look at this. This is an awesome user interface. So it's basically drag and drop. It's if then else. So it's like, look, start my campaign. I send an email. I'm going to pause for 9 days. If they haven't opened that email, or if they have opened that email, I can then set what the actions are. So for example, if they have opened the email, I can maybe create an assignment rule, and I can send an email, in this case to the sales manager, with a template saying, hey, call this person. So that's an example of the action you can take. If they haven't opened it, I can say, hey, send them another email. So this is one of the better automation tools I've seen in marketing automation platforms, and one of the nicer features of Salesforce Pardot. It is one of the better automation tools I've seen. All right, assign your sales leads. So normally in Salesforce, you have to create a lead assignment queue and a bunch of lead assignment rules. It's much easier in Pardot. So I can do this based upon lead scoring. So I say, hey, if in this case, I've said my prospect score is greater than 5 and the grade of the prospect is B, then do something. So in this case, I'm going to assign that prospect to one of my users. So you can see if you're a marketing user and a non-technical user, now you don't have to go ask a Salesforce admin to build you a lead assignment rule. You can do it yourself, basically, with this really handy WYSIWYG type interface. All right, Sales View in Salesforce. So now you want to look over back into Salesforce in the standard UI, and you want to see, hey, what's going on with a prospect or an account. Now in this case, this is the contact details. So this is already an account. You can see what activities a contact inside of an account that they're engaging in as part of my nurturing campaigns to them. So you can see this data is automatically being integrated into the Salesforce record. So I can see the lead score in Pardot. So under the related list for Pardot, I see the Pardot rating, the Pardot first refer query, what type of campaign they've engaged in, and then all the activities that have occurred. There's this thing called Salesforce Engage that I'm just kind of learning about, but basically it is a way to automate follow-up. Is that the best way to? Salesforce Engage, you keep tabs on your active prospects in real time and send one-to-one emails to prospects using pre-approved templates. So you can automate the follow-up on the sales side. So it's not just marketing automation, there's follow-up automation through Salesforce Engage. Kind of a neat, I can see the card on a user and all the activity they're engaged in, and it will prompt me to take certain action, or I can automate certain actions. And again, I don't have to be a developer to do this. So Engage campaigns, you basically are sending one-to-one emails rather than mass emails. And this is really, again, part of the sales function. So typically a salesperson would be using this. You provide and edit templates. So if you want to send automated emails after a certain amount of time or a certain action, you can do it, again, without programming skills. So Salesforce Engage is kind of a nice functionality. All right, so then we have reporting. Pardot reporting is different than standard Salesforce reporting. So basically, you want to see all the steps that are being taken by buyers as they go through their buying journey, or you want to see the results of a campaign. You can see stuff that's obviously specific to that campaign, like what emails were sent out, what the revenue that was generated as a result of that, any of the opportunities that have come out of a campaign. So some of the examples in these visual bubbles. If there's an email campaign, I can see the revenue and opportunities that were generated out of that campaign. LinkedIn display advertising, blog traffic. So I can track multiple types of campaigns. It just doesn't have to be email marketing. It can be paid campaigns. It can be social or organic. And then I see this really nice report that shows me the delivery rate, the open rate, and the clicked open rate. So these are all important to see. Is my email campaign effective? Again, a really nice user interface, great dashboard view. better than probably standard Salesforce reporting. I think Lightning obviously is going to be a big improvement, but as far as Classic goes, using the Pardot reporting is great compared to Classic reporting in Salesforce. The visualizations are much better. And that's your tour of Pardot. All right, so that's the end of episode 7. So we've reviewed Pardot, one of the 2 marketing automation offerings from Salesforce. What we'll talk about in the next episode is what is the Salesforce Marketing Cloud? And then in episode 9, how would you choose between Salesforce Pardot and the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, since they have 2 offerings, as they do in other categories, which is a really interesting marketing approach. But from a product point of view, why would I buy Pardot and why would I buy Salesforce Marketing Cloud? So we'll talk about that in episode 9. Thank you for joining. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And feel free to share this with people that you think might be interested. If you have any questions, you can send questions to us at ideas@cloudadvisory.io. Thank you, and this has been another episode of the Cloudify podcast. Appreciate you very much and look forward to seeing you on future episodes.
This has been an episode of Cloudify Podcast. Check out other episodes for interesting topics on how to grow, innovate, and automate your business using the Salesforce Customer Experience Platform.